This is not a release notes video. I'm not going to read features at you and pretend that every change is life-changing. Home Assistant 2026.2 or February release matters for a different reason. This release is not about adding more buttons or prettier dashboards. It's about direction. It's about where smart homes are slowly heading. If that sounds a bit abstract right now, don't worry, it will make sense very soon. Here is my honest opinion after years of running Home Assistant. A smart home should not need a user interface. UI is necessary for setup, configuration, debugging, and visibility. But if you constantly need dashboards to understand if your house is okay, something is already wrong. My first merge ever said my smart home is smarter than me, and in small letters it said when there is power. And for a long time that sentence was painfully accurate. The goal is not more UI, the goal is behavior, the system reacting to us without being babysat. We'll be starting in a couple of seconds. Let's talk about new overview, the default one. And yes, this one surprised me. Even in pre-release, this became my default screen. Not because it looks nicer, but because it answers the right questions. What is happening right now? And what is not fully set up yet? For the first time, Home Assistant feels comfortable being an overview instead of control panel. That distinction is very important. This is one of my favorite changes. The devices section finally shows reality. We already know that it shows everything we have. That was added in the previous releases, including devices that are not assigned to any area. And now it even shows devices that were discovered but not yet added to my smart home. If you run a simple setup, this looks nice. If you run a complex setup, this is huge. Forgotten devices are where automations quietly break over time. This view alone can save me from multiple why this still doesn't work moments. Add-ons were never really add-ons. They were applications. Home Assistant is basically a smart home operating system. And on an operating system, you install apps. Apps that extend behavior, add features, or completely change what your system can do. This rename is not marketing. It fixes the mental model. And mental models matter when people build systems meant to last for years. Developer tools moved into the settings, and this one is interesting. Developer tools are now inside settings section. And I understand why this happened. Left navigation space is limited. But having them at the bottom and its new location, yeah, it will take some time to get used to it. By the way, settings is now fixed and is always visible, and that part is actually huge. Instead of scrolling, wherever you are in your UI, now it will be visible. And that's possibly one of the biggest changes in this release, at least for me. But I won't pretend that this one doesn't add extra clicks. My muscle memory still goes left, and my mouse still misses sometimes the developer tools. This change makes sense architecturally, it just needs emotional adjustment time. Updates that you cannot apply. This is a small change, but with a big real-world impact. In the update section, show all updates. We now have all the updates that we already have, but there is something extra. Home Assistant now shows updates that exist but cannot be applied automatically. For example, this one here. Instead of falling silently behind, it tells you, this one exists. Go fix it somewhere else. Maybe on your NAS, maybe on your host system, maybe on something Home Assistant does not control. This is a very grown-up UX decision. The new distribution card looks nice. If you don't use hacks, this is a great out-of-box. If you do use hacks, you probably already have something very similar. This is not a game changer, but this is good defaults. And good defaults matter more than people think. There is also a new search bar. And I'll be honest, I didn't really use shortcuts much before. Mostly I use it by accident. But I see where this is going. This is about speed, and speed matters when your system grows. This one has a potential, even if not everyone will be using it immediately. If you have enabled purpose-specific triggers and conditions inside the labs, then you probably have access to the new ones. By the way, when you are already in the lab section, don't forget to enable device database. It will help Home Assistant know and grow, know what devices are getting used, manufacturers, protocols, etc. And this may help the future works with Home Assistant program, or maybe improve how some devices work inside Home Assistant. But back to automations. We now have new triggers, for example, calendar, person or vacuum, and we also have new conditions. But the list of that is too long for me to cover in the video. And this is where things get interesting again. Home Assistant is slowly moving away from raw state logic and towards intents and context. Instead of if this equals that, we are moving closer to what is happening and what's going on. This does not magically make automations smart, but it makes them more readable. And readability is the first step towards maintainability. A smart home should understand why something happens, not just react to numbers changing. Not everything in this release matters equally. I actively use the new overview and the device flow. I like the app's rename. I really appreciate the updated visibility improvements. Some things I notice, some things I ignore, and that's perfectly fine. A mature platform is not about using everything. It's about choosing what fits your home. Home Assistant 2026.2 is not flashy, and that's a good thing. This release feels confident, like the project knows where it's going. Not towards more dashboards, but towards less need for dashboards. And for the first time in a long while, that old hoodie might slowly be becoming true. Not because the UI is better, but because the system is starting to behave better. This is what actually makes a home smart. Before I wrap this up, I want to say a proper thank you. First of all, to my YouTube channel members. You are basically a reason I can spend way too much time thinking about UI philosophy instead of just clicking update and hoping for the best. Your support makes it possible to live with these changes for weeks or months before talking about them. And this is the only way this content makes sense. Thank you to everyone watching, commenting and sharing your setups, opinions, and occasionally telling me I'm completely wrong. This part is also surprisingly useful. If you want to support this channel, you can become a channel member for about €2 a month. That's less than a coffee. And unlike coffee, it doesn't make your automation jittery. You can also check out the merch store, where you'll find reminders that smart homes are only smart when there is a power. Or you can use Super Thanks if you want to support a specific video without committing to another corporate, BD Thinker subscription. If you are not subscribed yet, and this kind of Home Assistant content is your thing, consider subscribing. No miracles promised, just real systems in a real homes. I'll be seeing you next time. Until then, bye bye and have fun.